Oh, hello, my beautiful friend and today's guest, Sophia Steger. I have given you a little bit of an introduction, my friend, but I would love for you to actually fill my audience in with all the details that I may have left out because there's so much to you. And, those of you listening to this, you won't know, but Sophia's background is just stunning. I just love it because it's so like anyone who sits in front of a shelf of books and there's books and there's like this little objet d'art, it just gets into this nice cozy creative energy. So thank you for choosing such a beautiful backdrop. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, then you will know what I'm talking about. Okay, I digress. Let's go back to Miss Sophia. Here we are. Sophia Steger, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Kasha. Beautiful introduction. Thank you. It's nice to be back with you again. It's been, I think, 2020. We were discussing that it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And so much has happened. So those who don't know me, I'm a contemporary Australian artist. My love of the abstract and the native bush and florals is my mojo, is my muse, you could say. And at the moment, I'm working a lot on watercolors and oil pastels. I've got an exhibition coming up in July, which is exciting. So just at a local cafe here that I often go to, Coffee for the People, I'll give them a shout out. And got a beautiful community around me here creatively. So I guess for me, being an artist, I've always wanted to find my way in the world creatively. And from that aspect, I think I've just resigned myself to know that I see the world differently. I see it in colours and shapes and shadows and complexities that I've learnt and been told that not everyone looks at the world like you do, Soph. So I've learnt that that's my strength, which is good, which is a good thing. Like I'm turning 45 tomorrow. And
what? Yeah. We caught you just before your birthday.
Yes.
Oh, well, happy birthday for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Oh,
and as you know, as the older you get, things change. And I think at this time in my life, I'm learning to appreciate my skills and maybe dissect them and understand them and see how in the world I can be a further service to those around me. And that's where Studio Connect, my business, was born a number of years ago. And it's a creative wellness studio. And from there, I mentor children, youth, and adults, and hold creative wellness workshops, courses, and classes. And along with that, I've adopted bringing through my 30 years experience of tarot reading. I've brought that into my business as well, which I'm really enjoying. I've created the Stratagem sessions, which is something that combines my love of tarot, divination, and sort of helping people to get through that stuck mode that we can sometimes get in within our businesses. So for me, I'm all about the creative woman in business and helping her flourish and to see her own gifts, you could say. Yeah.
I love that. I was just about to ask you that because the thing is, Soap and I, like many spiritual people, many creative people, which I really think that when you're creative, you're a channel. And we are very multi-passionate. Like we can't pick one thing and just box ourselves into something or pick a label. That feels very limiting for us. And the reason I wanted to have you on my podcast, so, is because yes, you are an artist who has taught me a little bit as well with my naive art. There is nothing that's too hard for you, Soap. You can even teach people like me who I feel have two thumbs and not, when it comes to painting. But So you're doing tarot, you have sessions, and you haven't mentioned this really properly, but you have a very vast knowledge on humankind, like philosophy, psychology, how the mind works, and also the business stuff. Like really, you are like this well where we can just come in, drop a coin, and just ask for anything. You have the answer.
See what
So
comes out.
it all comes out. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
so I guess please share with us like how have you arrived here doing this now?
Okay. I guess that sort of begs me to look backwards, doesn't it? And look on my past. And so a little quick brief history is I've got 25 years in retail fashion and the Australian fashion industry. And from there, I always sort of excelled and made my way to management positions where I believe I was held in respect. I was often asked to see how different stores were performing. And so I'd be sort of dotted around the different stores and company through different companies I've worked with. And, they wanted my feedback. And I sort of shared this with someone recently and they said, oh, you're the fixer. And I guess that's in a way it is, because for me, I see patterns where others don't. And I see things very logically. But along with having an analytical mind, I think my creativity makes sure that my logic isn't locked in.
I was going to say, you're not locked into it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I'm not locked into it. So for me, I see patterns of how things would flow with ease, and it just presents to me in a visual format that's just comes to my mind's eye, and it's there, just solution oriented. It's the way my mind works. And as I mentioned before, later on in my years, I've just learnt to accept it now and not necessarily harness it, but be open to it being there and seeing when it comes up how I can put it and be of use. And so I think that reflective state of mind now sort of begs the reason why I want to help others, because I can draw on these resources. So there's retail fashion, and then I did a year-long marketing course, which really helped me go to the other side of my mind that I'm not usually using. And so left brain, right brain. And I found it really challenging at first to sit with this for the whole year to study marketing. And it really turned my mind inside out, but it was needed. It's like those mental gymnastics when you're learning something when you're older, which is sort of creative mind, analytical mind, left side, right side, and getting them both to marry so that you can move forward in conjunction with a goal or an outcome. And that was for me to learn so that I could do it for my business, Room Trader & Co., my homewares business, and also for Studio Connect. I didn't want to outsource. I wanted to be able to understand what was going on so that I was involved in the business. And then I had a platform that I could essentially delegate from, you could say. So I felt like I fully was embodying the business. And that's how I am in life. I like to understand things. And that's why I study philosophy. And a little hobby is I study psychology as well. And these things really just allow me to look at the biophysics and biology of our humanness and to marry them with, essentially what the ethereal realms offer us, our spirit, our soul, our insight into the world. How do you explain the soul, for instance? Do you know what I mean? We know that we can put soul into our work, but how do you explain it? There is no tangible test. And so for me, I couldn't see the pattern, and so I needed information. And so with anything, I'll just search for the information and knowledge, and that will lead me down 1,000 different rabbit holes and in front of beautiful people like yourself and who are experts in their own field. And I just take the information in and find more and slowly, structure it into something that looks whole for everybody, I guess. I'm not about one way. I can always see the other side of the fence. I always have a broad perspective of things. And I think that affords me to be able to see something in what maybe one of my mentees need, and I can hone right in, because we can be overwhelmed with a lot of things in this life at any one time. And I think the broader your knowledge base, the better you are with essentially having tools to work from your best self to create a best case scenario in any given moment, in family life, in work life, friendships, whatever it is that you're focusing on at the time. Yeah, new business.
Thank you for sharing this even, so because we had, before we pressed record, we had an interesting little chat, and I loved how you explained something. So I often talk about the being stuck in the mud and that's not a permanent state. But I really enjoyed the way you explain this, because often we feel like we're stuck, or that perhaps everything that we have tried to heal, process, it's like it's bubbled back up. And we question, have we even healed anything? Are we back to square one, right?
Yeah.
I'm stuck again, like a couple of months later. And so I really would love for you to share with us how you see it, because I really, really enjoyed the way you explained it.
So that's a really good question, Kasha. So how I see being stuck in the mud. Well, I know what it feels like, that's for sure. And at lengths of time, for great periods of time, I've experienced depression, I've experienced anxiety, and I've had to get through those moments in my life. And the challenge of having children, being married, having my business at home, making it all fit, the pressure of time. It's so relevant to today, where women are trying to do so much all at once. And it's no wonder that we get to this point of stuckness, which essentially, I think when we were talking, I mentioned it really is, it's a pause button. It's life putting a massive pause on everything that you're doing. And that can turn up in the way of, and this is in my experience, it can turn up in the way of something you've planned to put a lot of work into. It can just all of a sudden not work out. Or you can fall down and sprain your ankle. Or you could get sick when you're supposed to be here, and here for the next week and a half. So life will throw you in the mud, put a pause on your life when there is too much going on. And I've just learnt that the hard way through burnout and things like that by trying to do it all. I have a lot of energy, and as we sort of covered, I've got a fairly broad knowledge base that I'm always trying to build. And even I get lost in that cycle of doing. And literally, I think from one of your posts a long while ago, I think you've mentioned a human being, literally, Kasha, and that's to be. And I think we really forget the most base level of living is to just exist.
Yeah.
It's just to exist. And that this rat race that we're trying to be enough for, or to hold enough value in ourselves so that we can give to other people all the time, it's just not sustainable, not in this day and age. I remember seeing something Gabor Mate said, the trauma specialist, and he mentioned that, this being sensation that we're always getting caught up in, it's always from past. It's something that we're trying to project to go forward, but it's not going to work, because essentially the society we're in, it's a broken model, and it's outdated, and we're all individually trying to essentially man up, nod to the patriarchy, but man up and, be a part of this well-oiled machine. Some information I came across was that, way back when, the Rockefellers were the ones who invented this educational system that we're in. And essentially it was about driving people to become workers. He did not want free thinking people. And so our learning has been based on becoming workers and a possession and valued by our output. So it's no wonder that yourself, those around us who we encounter are really struggling and fighting against this form of conditioning, because we all have that in us, this sensation of we're a commodity, essentially. So undoing that is a collective thing, I feel, in the people and women and families and whatnot around me. You can see how it doesn't work anymore. And our children are showing us that. How things used to be is not how it will continue. Yeah.
That is so interesting. And I didn't know that about the Rockefellers. I do know that the model of school that was originally designed was designed with this whole rebuilding, working, putting the, workforce, like horse labor, basically, right, as supposed to rethinking humans. And it's actually interesting because when you said that, I just recalled a conversation I had with someone who I won't say randomly met, but we never meet anyone randomly, but we were talking about meditation and yoga, and of course, that my Ryan does Kriya yoga, and he mentioned that this person mentioned that, well, in India, the reason yoga and all this meditation rubbish exists is to dumb down the human, because then you are not motivated to educate yourself, to learn more. You just want to sit there and that's literally what he said, right? It's to dumb down the nation because it's much easier to manipulate or tell the nation this is why you're poor. But it's interesting because we have this one hand that was very driven to education, but the education was very kind of like, it has to be like this, like, not the free thinking, but just this way because it suits us. It creates that coil in that wheel that will build the machinery. And then we have on the other end, you would say maybe free thinkers, because through meditation, we know through going within, we actually see more, hear more, but yet there are people who think, actually, no, that is dumbing down because it doesn't motivate you to, learn. It just motivates you to sit still and do nothing. Where do you sit with these two extremes?
I find that there's a name for that. That's liminal space for me. When you're traversing from something to another space, and you're treading water, not essentially water, but it feels like you've stepped off the threshold and you're floating through space. And you don't know where, you cannot see what's on the other side. You can't see what's going to come in. And there's this factor of trust within yourself, like you're brought back to within yourself to trust. And, the whole idea of life bringing you this pause is that something needs to shift. And that's essentially the clue. So when I find I've reached this pausing moment, liminal space thereafter takes off. Presents itself essentially, depending on what's going on in my life personally, or, what it is that I'm focusing on. So for me, it's been business and relationships of late. So they're my two, of course, relationships within my family, friendships, and my children, and, what that means to me, how I turn up for them and myself within that. Within those spaces, and to have that strong foundation, and then juxtaposing with business where it is driven all from me supposedly to put it out there as a service for those who seek something different or a helping hand. I guess that transition, it's just part of the bigger picture. And if we sort of remind ourselves that we're here to, I don't know, maybe I believe this, we're here to make a difference. Yeah?
Yeah,
we're here to make
we are.
Yeah, we're here to make a difference. And, any given day is a new day to do something over or start again. It's a blessing in its own right. So I guess what I wanted to say is just to go back to that Rockefeller statement, is that like at the time we needed to work and build the society back up and our structures and industry after war. And, you know, I recognize that and see that it's purpose. But now we're shifting in a new direction, and there needs to be change. And I think change on the whole as a society can't happen unless it starts with us. And so change within us is that liminal space where we're forced to pause and reevaluate. And yes, it can be scary. Yes, it's heart-wrenching. But it is also an exciting space. It has a well and depth of possibility beyond maybe what is presented in the moment. And you've just got to have a bit of faith and belief that there is a design happening and that the bigger plan is there working for you, with you, to get you through that in those moments of potential depression or anxiety of how to cope. Because we're in a time where, you know, mental wellness has the biggest spotlight on it than it ever has, but at the same time, it's still not bright enough.
There's still stigma around it. Yeah.
There's still stigma around it. So I did my mental health first aid certification recently, and it was really confronting of what I knew versus statistics, but also even those statistics in their own right here in Australia are already dated. And, you know, from 2012, I think it was, the information we're drawing upon. And we need new information, you know, especially after the big, you know, succession of what we've all gone through, you know, globally.
The last couple of years, yeah.
The last couple of years. All the statistics would be absolutely off the charts, which as a group in this weekend-long certification course I did, we all agreed, as did the tutors, that, you know, things have changed. We are changing individually, and there that ripple effect is that, you know, butterfly effect, that sound wave effect, I think on Instagram, you know, your voice matters. So that creates ripples and change, you know, beyond what you can see. So I guess if we can focus on our individual intake and take that pause as a moment like, this is okay. This is okay. And look, there's lots of tools and things that can help you in that space.
Well, it's actually interesting before we go there, actually, because you're mentioning the pause, but like, I would actually like us to go more into what the pause is. Is it like just taking a sabbatical from social media? Is it, because you're a bit of a expert in getting really stuck into the uncomfortableness, right? Like you really go down and stuff. And I know I keep telling you this, that the sessions that you ran with women, they're not like your regular women's circle or gathering. They're a little bit special and unique. And I guess where I'm going with this is let's talk a little bit more about this pause, if you can kind of explain that a little bit more to us, and then kind of take us into how you help women, predominantly, I guess, women, but and especially the sessions and your tools and all that good stuff. Let's go there.
All right. So for me, the pause it's universal. So it's to be used to bring you back to the present moment. Okay. So I'm studying Advaita philosophy with the Melbourne School of Philosophy here in Melbourne. And one of the analogies that I could probably give you a nice visual is that at any one point we're literally playing a role in a play in our life, and we're on stage is part of it, where we're playing a character or essentially our identity and who we think we are. And then backstage is where we prep ourselves and we try on costumes and we try different things on, we rehearse our lines, we talk to our, co-actors and whatnot, and we revise and practice. So at any one time we can be on stage, but the important factor is when we do go on stage, is that that pause behind the scenes is full of consideration and internal insight and questioning of ourselves. It's very easy to point the finger at everyone and everything around us, I included. It's an ego thing where this person's at fault, that person's at fault, they're doing wrong, they could be doing better, you know. And to me, the beauty in that, in judgment, is to see you're judging others, therefore you need to hold judgment on yourself. You know, what are you not doing? What could you be doing? What is working for you? What is not working for you? And all of these questions can only happen in that space of pause. So for whatever reason, things aren't working out, and you've been, you know, there's this scenario I catch myself out in pushing in one direction. So if you find yourself pushing in one direction and it's not working out, you know, you've been asked to pause essentially in life and reevaluate. And that's probably the simplest form of it. Within those moments, whatever is of interest to you, that's what you turn to. A good thing is to remind yourself what you used to do as a child when you were free, you know, when your heart was unburdened essentially. What were your interests when you were younger? And so at this age, I've come right back full circle to all those things, and those things are what lights me up to today. And that's unique to me. And I may have things in common with other people, but my unique set of interests are my own, I suppose, because they help me develop my light and what I'm here to do, essentially. So when in the pause, my workshops and courses create nurtured environments where women can feel safe to experience what is going on within themselves and allow it to be seen, heard, felt, and then expressed through creative expression. So through paint, through art. I mean, this is art therapy, for want of a better term. But for me, I see that life is a full body experience, and therefore to feel it, we need to sit with it instead of this do, you know, get on with life. Within the pause, turning inwards and using your senses. So essentially your hearing, your taste, your sense of touch. How am I going here? What ones have I forgot? Sense of sight.
Smell, touch, taste,
yep.
Hearing.
Yes.
I think that's it. 6? Was that 6?
Well, then there's your ESP and your third eye and everything.
Well, then we have the soul senses. We're going beyond
the
this theme.
Senses, we go. That's a whole nother episode, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, I guess we are human beings having a human experience, you know, so we need to acknowledge that, and time moves a lot slower. So the idea of pausing makes people freak out. You know, I've got so much to do, I can't pause, I can't stop. And they're in its own, if that's what's happening in your mind, then you of all people definitely need to have some space and time to go, you know what, I think my plate's a little bit too full. And, you know, I'm just speaking from experience, that's led me to burnout multiple times, 40 years of burnout, you know, essentially, and navigating that. And it's not always the way, but sometimes it is, and that's absolutely okay, because what it means is that we can expand, grow, and experience these new realms of living that we don't know exists, you know, until we stop and consider what it is that we're doing, essentially, I suppose, as simple as it could be. Yeah.
That's incredible. So I have to ask, because you mentioned art therapy, obviously being an artist and all, you incorporate that into your sessions, but can you take us more into what art therapy is? Like what is, I mean, I guess I understand, like, and you know, being creative, I know what it does for me, you know, even just the fact of slowing down, you know, you know, knitting or crocheting, for example.
Yeah.
Slow down. It's a very meditative process, so I can see the benefits for me. But like, how would you say, art can help someone who is going through something, finding life a little bit challenging, trying to
Mm.
overcome something, or perhaps is in that pause, right?
Yeah. As a literate society, that evolved over time. Color and shape and things were our first languages, and that's as simple as it gets. It brings you, when you do art, it brings you back to your primal self. It switches off all the needs of today or tomorrow or what should or could be, and you go right back to your primal instincts. And a lot of that has got to do with trusting and intuition and things like that. But mostly it's got to do with giving yourself the opportunity just to express yourself. I truly believe that the opposite of depression is expression, and the need to get what is inside of us out. If we don't find a healthy way for it to be released, it will manifest in other ways, in negative behaviors or negative traits. We all have them. We all have things that we're working on. That's the score we have, and that's the baggage that we all come with. We've all got emotional baggage. It's how we manage it, essentially. For me, creativity and being creative, painting is something that I love. Being in nature is something that I love. And so I've brought those two things together, and understanding why things happen, my love of philosophy and the knowledge of mankind, womankind essentially, is my third sort of love that comes into that. And so to combine those things in therapy, essentially, it involves having a whole being experience. And afterwards, you leave what was once inside out on the paper, and that is truly transformational. And the way that we do this is to use our body, use our senses, have the right materials. And sometimes we can do it on our own. Other times we need someone to guide or be there to mentor you through something. But essentially, I think colour and art, it's just a different language, and we can't always find the words and literate expression to say how our heart is feeling or what something happened to us, how we feel it at the time, what that feels like now, whether it was a week, 10 years, 5 weeks. Our mind tries to make sense of things and to keep us safe. Our body holds and stores all our memories. And this is a way for it to speak through art therapy.
My key takeaway, the opposite of depression is expression, because I think this is how I see your work, like, where you take people from and to through. And I know if you like, we've spent our time, when you were teaching me naive art, and it was really just even bathing in your energy and just the conversations we've had, and what that opened up for me. I mean, I never set out to be an artist per se in galleries and stuff, but it has unlocked something for me, and so I am just truly grateful to you for gifting that to me. Not to mention the many books that are, like, to me, soul nourishing. I can go without food, but I go, oh my God, these books just feed my soul so much, like, it's just, I'm talking about food because I'm actually really hungry as we're talking about this. We're having this beautiful conversation, but I'm like thinking about food here. No, but really, the books. Yeah, and this is what your beautiful shop, Room Trader Co. is. I say to everyone, if you don't know what to gift someone, go to Room Trader, and the way you have it, everything set up, and the beautiful unique things that are in there is just it's just Fabulous, fabulous. And I'm sitting here listening to you with your beautiful background, and I'm thinking, if someone was to put something that would represent Melbourne, I think this photo here of you with the books, this artist, it's like the essence of Melbourne. Like, it's just so beautiful. I just so love it. And I'm so grateful that we get to not just hear you speak and share your wisdom, but just experience your beautiful energy. In saying this, so you have been so generous already, but I feel like there's so many ways I could take a conversation, and I always feel at the end when I talk to someone, I could have missed something. So is there anything that you wished I asked you, which I haven't, that you would like to share with us?
I guess I've spoken about maybe the stickiness of life and the trials and errors, maybe, and the stuckness. And I guess for me, I just see life as transitional, and I'd love for everyone out there to know that that is the truth. We are always transitioning through any one thing at any one time. And where you are right now, in its beauty, in its love, and its expansiveness, it is there for you to breathe life into the wellness of your being, and to express yourself in your full light, essentially. And that's what we're always working towards. It's the reward of growth, that feeling, that expansive feeling, and it's addictive. So don't be afraid of growth. Know that at any one moment, whatever you're going through will not remain. You will transition through, and don't be afraid to reach out to friends and family and guides or mentors who, can help you through those moments. We don't all have the answers ourselves. I don't have all the answers myself. We're forever on a quest of seeking. I think the importance is to just keep seeking and enjoy the journey as you go, not forgetting to pause.
Yes, you're like the queen of reminding us of that. It is so important, and you do it so well, right? Because that ties in with having good boundaries, right? And sometimes, I really feel like, as these multi-sensory, always evolving, always changing beings, nothing is ever solid in our lives. So even if I say today I have strong boundaries, like, a month from now, new circumstances, things happen, you next
True.
level, and you find yourself almost in a new world. And it's like,
Yes.
now you have to find these boundaries again, right? But often
Yes.
it's like this new place, this new world, new reality. And often we feel like little children who have, gone into a toy shop for the first time, where they're like, I want this, and I want this, and I want to be this for this one, and I want to do this for this one. And so you say, yes, 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 yes. And then comes this moment where you go like, okay, I forget about those boundaries. I need to have those boundaries. And you do it really well, where you go, where when you need to retract, whether it's social media, whether it's social life, real life, and just be there for yourself or for your family, right? Like, even sometimes we need to retract from our family, and as moms, as women, we find it really, really hard. There's all this guilt and stuff, but we become better when we gift ourselves the gift of solitude, of space, of that, silence. Because then you can come back to yourself, you can reconnect, you can ground yourself, whatever you need to do. And then
Absolutely.
you come out this beautiful, shiny being that can, again, be everything to everyone if it wants to be, right?
That's it. Well, we're tending to our own life force.
Yes.
So when we tend to our own life force, then we can govern things better and manage what we need to. And, as things come towards us, we're able to make decisions. And, managing your life force has got everything to do with loving your body, feeding it the nourishment it needs, and taking rest when needed. And they're big lessons that I'm literally still learning. And maybe I may be the queen of pause, quoting you, but it's because life has made me that way. It has thrown a whole heap of stuff at me, and I've not been able to avoid that. I've had to go through it. and it's not been lost on me, the magic that you can do within that space. And in a way, time slows down, which is incredible. So to
And we
witness
all
that,
need to do that. We all, it's
yeah.
everyone. Um, so is there anything that you would like to share with the audience? I always like to give the opportunity to my guests if there is something that they, whether it's last words of wisdom, whether it's a little bit of a practice, whether it's, card pulling, anything. Is there anything that you would like to share?
Lots, I suppose, but I guess I did make some notes, didn't I? Yeah. One thing is we can get caught up, and we're always in relationships. Something essentially to know is to be aware of what energy is yours and what energy is someone else's. And often we can be carrying around other people's, emotional baggage or weight. And, sometimes you can be upset or angry for no reason. And I guess they're the moments where we don't need that extra weight. So a big lesson for me is to actually realize that something was not mine and I was taking ownership of it. Just to be aware in your own space to, cast off energy that is not yours, give it back to the source, and ask for all your energy to be brought back to you. And I find in quiet moments, I'm asking of the universe to, give that to me, I suppose, or offer me that guidance, is to, take what is not mine and take it back to whoever it is with love and light and faith, and to bring back what energy I've delivered in love and light and faith in that way, to essentially keep myself whole. You can spread yourself thin, and that's part of it, I think. We lose conscious thought of what we're doing sometimes in the being and doing of every day. So you can do that in a pause of a moment. Journaling, drawing, doodling, getting out in nature, they're real simple, essential things. I think if you can just pinch some time for yourself, start small and build from there.
Oh, this is so good. And actually just reminded me of something, because you taught me this, to have I don't know what you call it again. Is it a doodling journal or art journal that because I know you have one that you carry, and I started having one. And this is for moments like anything. Sometimes words come through, but sometimes it's not words, it's symbols, it's signs, it's pictures. I mean, my friends who are familiar with lightning, you might be getting codes, right? Like things are coming. There we go. And there we are. So, so this beautiful art journal or scribble journal, or doodle journal?
Visual diary.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
you call it. Yes. And I know you shared with me yours, and they're incredible because you do like whole, sometimes pasting and cutting, or something that inspires you that you've seen somewhere. But would you say that's a good tool for those people who think, I don't think I can write anything, in a journal?
Yeah, definitely. You can purchase any size journal from Officeworks, or from an art supplies shop or your local news agency, or you could even check out the local supermarket. I prefer something that is plain paper so that the lines sort of don't get in the way, but sometimes, you use what you've got. So I don't know, do you remember when you were younger that you loved looking through magazines and you saw beautiful pictures of what could be and what life was like outside of, being a child and growing up? So essentially you could see it like your own living vision board or little vision book. And it's not meant to be art, essentially. They're just your ideas put down in colour and textual format. And, it embodies the feeling or the sense of something that was, present in your mind that day, or you're feeling or you experienced, and you just had to put it down. I mean, that's how I sort of feel. And other times I make time out to be creative and take my favorite materials, which are oil pastels at the moment, sort of oil sticks, and I'll just sit in front of blank paper and just let it go. You can grab a vase of flowers or a pot plant. You can sit outside and, draw on plein air. But it's not essential that it be for anyone. It's a form of expression. It's not to be judged. It's not to be held in any light or comparative sense that it's good, bad, in between. You know, in the way that we're talking now to communicate, see it as a communication from what's within you that wants to come out, essentially. Yeah.
Oh, I
And
love
yeah. Yeah, and like little books I find that fit inside your handbag are really good. So I have lots of different sizes and different papers with different covers, and that's probably reflective of lots of my moods of how I feel, you know, like the free hippie me or the more serious leather bound, you know, visual diary me, and you know,
the
so
corporate
the
Sophia.
corporate serious marketing, you
Professional.
know. But then I've got my beautiful cloth covered journals and whatnot from India, and they're bound with tassels and things, and you know, that sort of texture really always makes my heart sing. So
Oh,
essentially,
yes.
whatever reflects your heart song, go by that, pick whatever colors you want, and you know, go for it. Like it's purely up to your heart's desire what comes out.
Do you
If it's
carry? Oh, sorry.
yeah,
I was just gonna say, so do you carry with you, like, I don't know, the glue, the different colored pencils,
yeah,
Sharpies, or
sometimes.
like, you know, because
Yeah,
here's the thing, okay, not many people know this, but I actually have two pencil cases that usually go in a bag with me. One has like my cards, selenite crystal, pendulum, a protective little vessel that a friend of mine made me. And a couple of pens and a little notebook. That's
beautiful.
one pencil case because I like to write things down. But then I have another one that has like my knitting / crocheting essentials, like, you know, in a little pouch, because I'm like, just
I
in
love
case I
that.
find myself somewhere waiting, I've
Yes,
got something to do. But I would
yes,
imagine that what that is to me, an art visual diary, and you know,
yeah.
utensils for it would be to you. So
Yeah,
the
I've got
question
a mini
isn't so
ruler.
complicated.
Yeah, what is in there? So I've got a mini
Yeah.
ruler, which is this cute little triangular, you know, clear ruler that just the shape of it is enticing for some reason. I've got this thing with pyramids and diamonds and stuff, and you know, my engagement ring is a marquee cut. Which, when my husband and I went shopping for an engagement ring, I didn't know what I wanted, and you know, what kind of question is that anyway? I don't know. Can you just do it and pick it? I don't know. And then the woman asked me, well, what have you always thought about? I'm like, oh, I never really thought. But then little 11-year-old me inside me just said, no, that one. And I just went, oh my gosh. You know, some things resonate with you in your
Yeah.
jewelry and how you dress. You know, take notes from that. You know, what does your wardrobe look like? Are you always beautiful blues like you are today, Kasha? You know, I like black and white sometimes, and so I'll have varying grades of lead, and you know, I'll do really beautiful 3D landscapes, and the way that you use the pencil has got everything to do with turning it from a 2D form into a 3D form, and then if you put watercolor over the top. So I think I just allow the day to unfold in what it's showing me, and I just pick what I want if I'm going somewhere, and I try and make time to sit and do it. Not lately, I haven't as much. I'll be completely honest, and us talking about it is making my heart long, long to go and do this very activity. So that's what I might be doing when we get off here.
I love it. Oh, with these
Yeah.
little sparks for each other. I just want to say, speaking of my blue top, which again, if you're listening, you won't
Beautiful.
see it, but this is my beautiful, I gotta show it here in the camera in case you're on YouTube watching this.
Frida
This is my
Kahlo.
beautiful tribute to you as an artist, Frida, Miss Frida. And I thought to stuff, I put it on, then I realized it's all crinkly and stuff. It has, I think, ironed itself out on me. This is how I
Beautiful.
iron clothes. I put them on and then they just straighten out. I don't believe in ironing clothes. Another piece of the puzzle falls into place for Kasha. But
I'm like that too.
like, you have just sparked another question for me, and I promise I will let you get on with your day. But this is what happens when we get together.
No, I'm
There's like a
happy.
million topics. But I feel like this might be something that a lot of my listeners might be asking themselves. So we talk a lot about authenticity and knowing who you are, being yourself. But, what if one day you feel like you're loving colors, all these bright, crazy colors, and then the next day you're like, no, I'm more into like the black and white and beige and like, minimalistic. And one day I am that professional corporate, but then the other, I'm that gypsy boho, artist, crazy, like how do we know when we go from one to the other? Because there are people who don't very much, like pink is my favorite color, or
Yes.
I'm all about black and white, and
Yes.
I don't like any makeup, I don't like this, I don't like any frills, I just like very minimalistic. But then there are those of us who are like, no, today I love art, tomorrow I am a singer, how what would you say to us?
So to those who feel like they're sort of jumping from one thing to another, I'd say you're experimenting. You're literally experimenting with the world around you.
Can we still experiment at 40?
Yes, absolutely. 100%. Well, if we can't, then I'm in big trouble.
Asking for a friend here.
Asking for a friend, yeah. No, life is one big experiment. We don't ever have all the answers lined up. And tomorrow, like you said, you can be thrown off track or something could land in your lap. I'm really big on always trying to acknowledge an opportunity and to take it, whatever or wherever it ends up. You might end up being put in front of someone who you've no idea, and they change your world or life. And they bring this element or chapter to your life that has just, opened you right up to experience something incredible. But being authentic to yourself, I think, is be authentic to your flow and your energy, what you want and what you don't want. I think generally the guidelines to go for. I'm not someone who wears a lot of heavy makeup when I go out, but that's me. I see this beautiful makeup artistry out there, and I'm confounded. It's absolutely stunning what people can do with makeup. But at the same time, I'm someone who is more about expressing on paper. So that's my makeup. Do you know what I mean? So art form is its own expression. So I dare say, see yourself as the canvas. Yeah, and that's as authentic as you can get. Yeah, see yourself as the canvas, and to experiment, be safe, of course. Don't think that any one thing is for or not for you. Like if you identify too strongly with something, you can have a tendency to, put a wall up against experiencing new things. So, be comfortable with flow a little bit more, maybe, and it's absolutely okay. Experiment.
Thank you very much. I will pass on the advice to that friend. Now, this was really lovely. Thank you so much for sharing so much with us, and for going with the conversation when it took a different and different turn than first expected. But then again, our conversations are never really fully scripted, right? They are what they are,
totally
and
linear.
exactly what needs to come out comes out. So thank you, Soph. But can you just, before we finish up, can you just tell us where we can find you? And of course, all the links will be in the show notes below, wherever you're listening or watching.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Kasha. And those of you listening, thank you for joining us. So you can find me at Sophia Steger artdesign.com. My website, and you can find my services and art and whatnot there. I put up there workshops and courses that I've got going at the moment. And on Instagram, you can find me at Studio Connect ___. So that's 3 underscores essentially at the end.
And 3 underscores. Yeah.
Yeah. And Room Trader & Co., we're actually having a bit of a hiatus at the moment while I focus on my mentoring. And I dare say something that you need will find you in the end. So if you resonate with me or I resonate with you, by all means, reach out, let yourself be known.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you, Soph. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And I will be back next week. And have a great week. So that is it. We're out.